their deputy president, that have no basis, that is sheer propaganda, that is a scheme to hold me out of office because of other political considerations, and has nothing to do with violation of the Constitution. It has nothing to do with gross misconduct, and it has absolutely nothing to do with committing international or national crimes. The people of Kenya are therefore entitled by right to hear from their deputy president what is his response to those outrageous allegations. Again, an attempt to do a public participation in a very short exercise that was done. My response was not part of what was presented to the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya were being asked to give their views as to whether the deputy president should be impeached from office, and the accusations were attached, but in a highly legalistic language beyond the comprehension of many Kenyans. But the response of the deputy president was not there to enable them make an informed decision by listening to the charges against him and listening to his response. Because the rules of natural justice demand that no man should be condemned unheard. My lawyers will be vigorously challenging that public participation as a nullity, and that does not meet the threshold of public participation as expounded by the Supreme Court of Kenya during the celebrated case of Governor Peter Wabora. The motion alleges that 2 years since assuming office, Rigathi Gachagua has acquired property and wealth whose estimated value is 5.2 billion, despite his known income by way of employment is 24 million. This is extremely outrageous. Honorable Mutuse goes ahead to give properties that he alleges are owned by one Rigathi Gachagua. I trust he was just given a document to sign. Had he taken some bit of time to do some research, he would not embarrass himself and the National Assembly.
That was the Deputy President, and he says in his own words, he thinks Kibwezi West MP was given the motion just to sign. He did not go through it, and if at all he had gone through it, he would have saved himself the embarrassment. I see Friend Okango is itching to say something, but before I engage you, Mr. Okango, just to give the viewer a schedule of what is set to happen today. Like Mr. Okango said, it being the 8th day after that motion was tabled in the National Assembly. Later on, vote to decide on whether to impeach the president or not. And then after that, it will be forwarded to the Senate. That is after it will be, if at all, it will be supported by at least 233 members of the National Assembly, and as under Article 145 and 150 of the Kenyan Constitution. Then Speaker Moses Wetangula will send it to the Senate. And if the motion does not receive support of the 233 members, then it will end there. But if at all, 233 members, at least 233 members will support the motion, it will then be forwarded to the members of the Senate. Now, the Speaker of the Senate, sitting of the just within 7 days after the motion has been forwarded to the Senate, and then from there the Senate will decide on whether they will listen to the case through plenary or through an 11-member committee. Now, after that, a trial will be held in the Senate where the Deputy President as well, just like the National Assembly, will have an opportunity to appear and give evidence and also to cross-examine witnesses presented by the National Assembly. Now, after that, the Senate must conclude investigations, hearing and voting on the impeachment within 10 days of the day of its convened to receive the resolution from the National Assembly. Then after that, members of the Senate will have to vote, and at least 45 senators must vote in favor of the impeachment for any of the charges to be upheld and for the Deputy President to cease holding office. Now, Mr. Okango, just before I engage you, I want to give Mr. Kimani Mwangi an opportunity, because he'll be leaving in a moment, just to give us his final submissions.
Well, the day is here with us. And if, in my opinion, the Deputy President was a better politician than he is, it shouldn't have escalated to this day. Differences have been there. Leaders have been at loggerheads. Wisdom has it that you must get your accuser to agree with them before they take you or they drag you to court, where the judge will find you guilty and jail you or send you to the jailer. But because the day is here with us and Gashagua's fate now lies in the hands of the National Assembly, we can only wait to see how it plays and see how the matter escalates beyond this day. Whether at the end of the day the National Assembly or the mover of the motion will get the numbers needed to escalate the motions to the Senate, or whether the members of the National Assembly will feel that it doesn't meet the threshold and give Gachagua a new breath of life. So I think it is all, now we can only leave it in the hands of the members of National Assembly to see how it plays. And if you allow me, I really have to leave and leave you with the two gentlemen to proceed. So thank you for hosting me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimani Wangi. It was
Yes.
a pleasure having you around. Thank you very much for making time. Now let me come to you, Mr. Okango. You were itching to say something even before we went for the break.
No, I wanted just to make a very important addition on this process. If you listen to the Deputy President last evening, his strategy is to attack the process. Remember, the provisions of Article 150 says that the Deputy President can be removed from office with the modifications of the provisions of Article 144 or 145. In this case, we are relying on Article 145 that gives the violation, reasons to believe that he has violated the national laws or international laws, and gross misconduct. However, he also talked about the opportunity that he has been, that the deputy has been granted at the National Assembly. That opportunity is part of the modification of that provision that the law talks about. So the modification has been done in such a manner that he has been accorded an opportunity for fair hearing pursuant to Article 50. Now, this public participation shortly. What is public participation? What must it have? A public participation must be informing. The public must be informed of the subject matter. What is it they're discussing? What is it that is expected of them? It must be consultative. The public must be consulted. The duty bearers must be consulted. It must be involving. The public must be involved in doing all this. It must be collaborative. And lastly, it must be empowering in the sense that it must put the authority of decision-making in the hands of the public. So the public must give their verdict, and that decision must find itself in the final decision. Now, he talked of a case law of Governor Wambora. Fair enough. But remember, our courts have given very stringent guidelines. Even in the absence of Public Participation Act, they have given stringent guidelines. And I'll give an example of even the BBI case. They have cited and they have said public participation must be meaningful. They have said public participation must not be, just a public relation exercise. It must not. It must not be illusionary. The courts have also said that for public participation to be meaningful, there must be clarity of the subject. There must be clear processes. It must be inclusive, and it must be transparent, and must have integrity. If you look at the process that the public undertook, that process is not about voting, because majority of the people believe that it is about voting. It is not about voting. That process is about informing, involving, consulting, and empowering. Now, I know the public, because I attended the Boma's public participation. majority of the public were of the view that kufa makanga, kufa dereva. And if you look at that keenly, in one of the forms, actually in the forms, in the template for receiving these views, they indicated a section called others and specify. The moment the people say both, impeach both, they're actually saying that impeach Gachagua. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
They're saying impeach Gachagua. They're not saying don't impeach Gachagua. And number two, I want to remind the proponents of kufa makanga, kufa dereva, that if that is what they indicated in their form, they have actually endorsed Gachagua impeachment. But today, for those who want to impeach the president, the motion before the National Assembly that has been moved by Honorable Mutuse is a motion to impeach the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. If there's anyone out there who thinks that there's any other state officer that should be impeached, let them produce another motion. Kenyans will go and participate again, and the process will continue. Okay. Therefore, this issue that the Deputy President is saying that his lawyers will be taking up this matter, that is okay. It will help also develop another jurisprudence on this issue of public participation. Because as it is today, we don't have Public Participation Act, but even in the absence of Public Participation Act, our courts have really helped. Okay. They have given how the guidelines, the framework of how to do public participation. And they have said, I just want to read for you one thing here that is very important. Allegations of lack of public participation does not automatically violate the process. That's what the courts have said, particularly in the case of BBI. So okay. Even if you say that there was lack of public participation, there was all this, it does not violate the process. If there was an attempt to do this public participation, it will be seen. What is the threshold? Is it meaningful? Was the member involved? Was they consulted? Were they empowered to make a decision? That is what is important. That's what's important for now.
Okay, fair enough. Even before we listen to Gachagua again, Mr. Wilson Sossion, coming to you on the issue of a section of Kenyans wanting both the president and the deputy president gone. Now, Mr. Kwango says this was an impeachment motion specifically against the DP.
Yes, it's
and whether people want the president and his deputy both gone, then someone else should push the motion. But even as we look at the deputy president, looking at the views of Kenyans, because looking at the views they express from various parts of the country, be it the central region, some from the Rift Valley, especially in Baringo County, looking at those from western region, Kakamega County, the coast region. I mean, it sends a message as well to the president, but that yes, indeed, people agree that maybe your deputy should be gone, but you also have questions to answer.
The public participation process is very specific to the motion. There is what you call rule of relevance, and it is even within the standing orders. So you cannot bring in a matter that is not within the framework of the House. So therefore, according to me, a member of parliament successfully filed a motion of impeachment against a specific person, not two people. And that matter has been sent to public participation. And I agree strongly with the learned counsel here that the Supreme Court gave guidelines in the absence of a legislation guiding public participation. And I think there should be a legislation guiding public participation so that all other matters that relate to public participation are guided by law. And by the way, Kaitany, this is the first impeachment that has really attracted substantial qualitative participation by the public, regardless of the views, whether some of the views were relevant to the matter or irrelevant. So that then the findings of the public participation process should be relevant to the matter in question, qualitatively and quantitatively. So if some of the views were that the Speaker of the National Assembly be impeached also, then that data will find no place because that is not the item in question, or the President be impeached also. If you want the President to be impeached, get a member of Parliament to file a petition and file facts against the president.
I agree.
And proceed and impeach.
I agree,
and
Mr. Sosion.
That does not mean the president cannot be impeached. If he's impeachable, then it is the same similar process. But within the rule of relevance of the National Assembly,
I agree.
The matter being adjudicated, and I want to stick to the rule of relevance, having been a member of parliament, and I still carry the integrity of that house, it would be wrong for us to entertain foreign material that are not relevant to the item in question.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you. The item in question
is
impeachment of the deputy president on 11 specific counts.
Now let me ask you. Let me ask you.
The National Assembly will be addressing itself.
You've been a member of parliament and you say you will adhere to the standing orders of the house.
The rule of
relevance in this particular issue. But my concern is this was a motion and tabled against the deputy president, the impeachment motion of the deputy president, and it underwent public participation. And it is specifically on the president. But one of the key issues that arose from that public participation is that Kenyans do also have questions regarding the president. Now, away from that, even as we deal with the issue of the deputy president, should members of parliament as well, now that they represent the interests of these same people, consider these sentiments regarding whether the president should also be gone or not?
In prosecuting this particular impeachment, the members of parliament will not transact such, because that the standing orders will not permit.
I'm not saying they transact it now.
Within the rule of relevance. But going into the future or any other time, this is a fact of the Constitution and the law. Can the president be impeached? Yes. He can be impeached. And nobody can be stopped from bringing an impeachment motion as long as you can convince the House. So that is a fact that should go on record.
Okay.
That the Constitution permits impeachment of any state officer from the president downwards. That is a fact. We are seeing governors being impeached. We have seen ministers being impeached. And I think, to me, where the threshold of impeaching a state officer is attained, Parliament should not hesitate, but should actually proceed and impeach. The Senate should not hesitate, but should actually proceed and impeach. That's why I've said the chicks have come home to roost with respect to impeachment, because it has reached a time rogue state officers who do not measure up to the expectation of their officers are removed from office by impeachment. In fact, actually, impeachment is removal from office. You are being removed from office before you complete the term, because there is a feeling that that you are not doing your business within the Constitution and the law. And this impeachment should be successful to serve as lessons, and to all other state officers, that then when you are appointed to office, you must conduct yourself within the Constitution and the law, and with decorum, and with great consciousness of the people of Kenya in mind.
Fair enough, Mr. Sosion. Mr. Okango, I mean, it is okay. We have to apply the rule of relevance here and deal with the issue of the impeachment of the deputy president. But we cannot just, throw away the views of Kenyans in regard to this particular issue. Does this and the views of Kenyans in regards to the performance of the president and his deputy, because like you said, they said kufa dereva kufa makanga, does that raise concerns within the president's circle in terms of his delivery on what he promised Kenyans, and as well, does it sort of throw a spanner into the works in terms of where he has gotten things wrong and where did rain start beating him?
One thing that I love Kenyans for, they have actually come of age to find a way of making their views known and their views taken seriously. This country will never be the same again. The people who participated in the last public participation in regards to this impeachment motion, they say that now that the members of parliament have started doing the right thing, forget about what they said about the impeachment, but they said this is the right thing. We want to see participation on issues like SHA. We want to see participation on the issues like PPPs. We want to see public participation on the issues of how we are governed. Public participation as a constitutional principle applies to all aspects of governance. That is what the law says. That is what the national values says. That is what it should be. And if Kenyans already know that, then it means Kenyans are doing the right thing. They want to be involved. They want to be informed. They want to collaborate. They want to be empowered to make decisions as the people. Okay. And that's what Article 1 says. Number 2, where the president sits, I cannot purport to speak for the president, but I believe where he sits, together with his government and cabinet, he has seen, he has watched, he has heard, he has listened. The people of Kenya want to be involved more. Okay. And I want to believe that going forward, the government of President William Ruto will listen more and will involve people more, because that's what the people are saying. You have talked of Kufa Makanga, Kufa Dereva. The public participation that people underwent, courts moved that it is extended by another day to 5th. Now, not in the counties, but at the lower level in the constituency. So if you say that it was not sufficient, the court saw it fit that let's extend it by another day, you are actually blaming the court. Go and appeal that decision of the court and say, no, we want it 55 days or 100 days, okay, if you want. Okay. Number 2, the issue of Kufa Makanga again. This public participation was specific on an issue. It was to inform, to involve, collaborate, and engage the public on the matter impeachment of the Deputy President, Honorable Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua. That was it. Okay. So, as Honorable Sion has said, I would want to see another impeachment motion for any state officer. If there is anyone who believes that Honorable Sion should be impeached, bring the impeachment motion. If you have sufficient grounds that will convince those who are supposed to impeach, whether they are members of parliament or whoever or the public, they will take it up from there.
Fair enough.
And I will argue the same case as I'm doing now.
Fair enough.
Because it is about processes. Me, I have divorced myself from this politics of this impeachment. Okay. But I want to be objective and professional, because I believe that Kenyans would want the best. What we are not going to allow, particularly me, I'm not going to allow to be entangled in an issue that is not relevant to the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya want services. The people of Kenya want bad leaders out. If it is true that Honorable Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua is a leader that has fallen short of certain things, then it is not my duty to say he should go. It is the duty of Parliament, who have the motion, and they will look at it, the processes. By today, if 233 resolve that that matter should now be taken to the trial house, and 45 of the members of the Senate agree with it, so be it. But as it now, we can only analyze the processes, the views, the personal views, the public views, and the issues around it. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I want us to take a breather, but on the final bit of this conversation, when we come back, there are 3 issues I want us to tackle. One is the issue of evictions. Second is the issue of, basically tackling the issues that the witnesses will talk about, led by Governor Johnson Sakaja on the issue of Wakulima Market and incitement, Mercy Wanjau, the Secretary to the Cabinet, on the issue of the DP opposing certain cabinet decisions, and as well the issue of KEMSA, because former KEMSA boss Andrew Mullo said he received a call from the DP in regards to the mosquito nets tender. We do remember that particular tender that involved 3.7 billion Kenya shillings. That will be after this short break.
Mr. DJ, Blackie.